Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast. So, P3M with Kailash Upadhyay, where we talk about the real impact of projects, program, and portfolio in various organizations, and we share the real journey, the real experiences, the real lesson learned of our alumni who have really created lot of value in various organizations they have worked. Now, today I have a guest with me, Ravi Pola. Ravi has over 22.5 years of experience. He have started his career as software product development specialist, and he moved on to SAP Lab. Almost 16 years he served this company and handled so many project and program initiative. Currently, Ravi works with Teradata. It's a multi-cloud based database system, and their analytics products are globally recognized. So, first of all, Ravi, welcome to my podcast. So, P3M with Kailash Upadhyay.
Thanks, Kailash. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. It's so nice to host you on my podcast, and I'm sure that my guest going to get lot of knowledge through this podcast. Avi, you just cleared a week back a PfMP certification on your first attempt with four above target and one target score. But before we go and talk about Ravi's real experience of this certification journey, I want to ask this question: what is portfolio and how portfolio management impact organization? Would you like to share your experience around that, Ravi?
Sure, Kailash. The first thing that comes to my mind when you say portfolio management, it is more on the strategic side rather on a tactical, which we generally look at the projects, executing the projects, right? So any situation today, look at current political scenario or in this VUCA world, right? All the organizational vision objectives depends on the uncertain situations where organization end up right pivoting from the current strategic objectives and getting to the new strategic initiatives. That's where the portfolio management is very, very important to align to the organization goals and objectives and revisit your portfolios, optimize them, and execute aligning to the organization.
Awesome, awesome. So, absolutely, Ravi, we all know that portfolio is a bridge between strategy and execution. And execution is done through various projects and program which are temporary initiative within the portfolio, and operations and subsidiary portfolio which are ongoing initiative. We also call them portfolio components. So these so establish a bridge between organization strategy and this execution which is performed through this portfolio component. Now, Ravi, my next question around this portfolio management to you is: see, today we are into very volatile business environment where uncertainty, ambiguity, complexity is, I feel, at the highest level. So my next question to you, Ravi: how do you think one portfolio manager manage his portfolio in this current business environment?
Definitely, as a portfolio manager, I should always look at the changing environment and my leadership organization goals. Is there any strategic direction change? Keep on understanding them and validate against the current portfolio components. Are they still valid, aligned to the strategic objectives and initiatives? Evaluate them. If they are not aligned, terminate if possible, and ensure that resources are reassigned to the right portfolios which are aligned to the strategy.
Okay, so you're saying that when the environment becoming more volatile, more complex, you should look into the portfolio structure and see, do we need a new component to, new projects and program to handle some of the environmental uncertainty, or do we need some component that we can modify, delay, or even fast track, or do we need to terminate some of the projects and program which maybe sometime back maybe the most important project in the portfolio, but now because of changing business environment these projects may not remain relevant, and organization resources investment into these projects will only increase the sunk cost of that particular portfolio. So I think so that's really, really awesome, Ravi. This is very, very important today. As we know, the war, there's a political situation. There is a war between Russia, Ukraine. There is a Iran and Israel, and of course US is also involved into this. So this political political changes are happening. Frankly saying, every other day we are seeing different political implication. How our portfolio then needs to be aware of this political environment and try to pivot is strategy to ensure that it always ready to handle any negative outcome of the political environment. And similarly, there are economical and the other challenges as well. One more thing I would like to ask you. Today, technology is, I feel, much bigger disruptor than even war or economical crisis. Because I feel that so many organizations where layoff is happening, of course, war is creating problem in everybody's life. Economy is getting impacted. But correct me if I'm wrong, Ravi. I think so. The technology is still a much bigger disruptor and creating impact in the portfolio success. So I would like to ask you, how do you handle this technology evolution in your portfolios?
You're right, Kailash. The technology is a disruptor today. If you look at the way the AI is right advancing and doing many of the activities or the functions which a human resource can do, right? They can do more efficiently with a faster and quicker way. So it's always an attempt for a portfolio manager to see how best they can use the AI tools in their portfolio management, the underlying components, and bring the efficiencies and cut down the wastage and see that the objectives are realized earliest with minimal resources. So I believe that AI disruption, which is a technology disruption, is going to have its own impact in near future, and it is going to change the landscape drastically. So
Absolutely.
every portfolio manager has to identify an areas of improvement and bring efficiencies and use this technology for the successful portfolio management.
I think this is really great, Ravi, and I second your thought. We must adapt to changing environment, and most importantly, I think so. The technology is changing much faster than the political influence or the economical influence. The technology changes are so very fast that every other day we are seeing some new technology that if we use it correctly in our portfolio, then it can really deliver the maximum return or the aggregate portfolio value. So this is a great point, Ravi. Okay. So one more question I want to ask, Ravi. Some CXO level people may be listening to this podcast. Some PMO heads may be listening to this particular podcast. How they can improve their portfolio management practices?
Definitely, I think there are multi facet definition if you ask me, but one key thing which I would like to emphasize is the governance. Governance is the key at the portfolio level, which is a function which oversees right decision making, oversights, integration, and monitoring aspects. Right, so it's the most important to have a very good governance function for a successful portfolio management. Along with that, we have few more like optimized value management, and you can have stakeholder engagement, capacity and capability management. We always say one good thing in the portfolio management is you have right capacity and capabilities so that the portfolio components use those resources for the successful delivery.
Absolutely correct, Ravi. Governance is often overlooked, or even sometimes we establish a governance framework. But during the portfolio life cycle, the governance framework is never optimized during the entire ongoing life cycle of a portfolio. So it is very important that the audience, the CXO or the PMO heads who are listening to this podcast, it's a very good advice that you have shared that governance should be adaptable. It should not that, they develop the frameworks once upon a time during the portfolio life cycle, and now years have gone in the portfolio and they are still following those legacy governance model. And that is what we see many problem, Ravi, because when they are trying to create so many new changes, optimizing the portfolio, but they're never optimizing the governance model. So this is a great point that you have shared for the CXO level people. And you also said about value management concept. Again, portfolio is a real approach to deliver the value to help achieve organization strategy and objective. And this, as I said again, many a time the portfolio value is impacted because of what's happening within the portfolio, because of component interdependency, because of the resources scarcity. But again, if I come back to that, environmental influences that impacts value continuously, and even the strategic alignment of portfolio. So value management have to be a continuous continuous process to review, because this is part of the performance management knowledge area. If your performance is under control, then you will really able to control your value. And if portfolio performance is not meeting the planned or baseline value, then it will certainly impact the aggregate portfolio value. And another wonderful thing which you said is capacity and capability planning. Today, so much of layoff is happening, hiring is freezed, and when I'm talking to so many people around, one thing is that common, Ravi, that people are saying that our organization from last 18 months or from last 15 months, they have completely, all the hiring has been stopped. And I'm also saying that every quarter they are removing the people. So this is the time where capacity and capability management is the most important, because you are not getting new resources. Your existing resources are being asked to leave the portfolio. So this is the time, I think so, capacity and capability building going to be the most important portfolio management practice. And if any CXO level people or portfolio practitioner who are listening to this podcast, then your advice of capacity and capability planning going to be of a great help to them. Ravi, we can talk so many things about portfolio management, but this is not a podcast about the portfolio management subject. This is a podcast where we really want to hear your journey to the PfMP certification. So I want to first of all again congratulate you for the PfMP success on your very first attempt. But from here comes my question about this journey. This journey is definitely not very unplanned. This is not very random. This is definitely, I believe, is a planned journey. What was the trigger that you decided that let me plan my portfolio management professional certification journey?
Maybe I give a little background. So once I moved from technical to the project management side, gaining experience in the project management, driving many projects, then the natural choice is then go into the programs. Then we got into programs and working on programs and having a very good experience on the programs, complex programs. Then I thought, what is next for me? Then the natural choice, then get into the portfolio. So that's a natural growth path for a project manager, projects to programs, programs to portfolio. So I started portfolio management almost, I think, 4 years ago in the current organization when there was an opportunity to come up with a new portfolio and drive that portfolio. So I started with my program management experience, then understanding how my organization is building the portfolio, strategic objectives, coming with the roadmaps, coming with the business cases. Then I'm trying to connect the dots. However, I'm still feeling that somewhere I miss the standard, the framework, which generally with my program management experience, I know that okay, PMI as that right course, which has a standard. Let me get into this portfolio management learning, get into the course and understand the standard, and then map the concepts to the my organization's portfolio management framework and relate them. So that's where the thought came, and then I started. Okay, let me start working towards this portfolio management certification and look for a good course. And then I started the journey with you, and that's where it ignited. So I felt some point in time, though we are a portfolio managers, it's always good to validate that activities which I am doing as part of my organization's portfolio management again is the standard. So that actually ignited me to get into this journey. Okay, thank you, Ravi. So I want to ask related question to this. Did you find any challenges in this shift from project and program mindset to portfolio mindset, Ravi? Yes, there are challenges because, as you know, projects are more at the very tactical level with an end deliverables. Then the programs brings you a benefits realization. Then portfolio more at the strategic level, right? So the thought process or the applications which I was putting have to unlearn certain things. The tactical application may not work at the portfolio management. You should be more strategical. You have to look at how to balance and get that optimal value against the organization's risk appetite or risk overall risk. So that's where the difference and the challenge to apply. I cannot do the same thing which I was doing for a project and program management day-to-day activities. I have to look more strategically and look away systemic thinking, right, and holistic view. These are the key things I think which took some time to transition from the project and program to the portfolio side.
Very good, Ravi. So, Ravi, now we want to hear something about your roadmap to the certification journey, because this is going to add a lot of value to this listener who are also aspiring for PfMP certification. So, would you walk us through your certification success roadmap, Ravi?
Yeah. So once I decided to get into the certification, I want to get certified for the PFMP. Then I got enrolled with Addon. So you are the mentor there, and you are the one who was taking this course. After the course, there's a definite time target date of 2 or 3 months max, where I should plan and go for a certification. The reason is we would have gone through a lot of learnings in the course, discussing the real time scenarios because it's all scenario based learnings, mapping that to the standard, discussing with the co-participants who are the portfolio managers and aspiring portfolio managers. They can share their knowledge, and those learnings are very much fresh in mind. And with a regular practice on the mock-ups or the domain exams, I could plan that, okay, let me finish this in next uh, 60 days or 90 days. That was the plan. So I could make it in a 90-day plan, and I appeared for the exam and passed it.
Very good, very good. So, Ravi, now you already have a roadmap, but there will always be challenges in executing and delivering this milestone in this roadmap. I want to ask you, were this application panel review was more challenging or the real exam was more challenging, Ravi?
Application panel is also very challenging. The reason is we know our experience. We have data available with us. What kind of experience I have for the portfolio management exam as a minimum qualification. But how do you put that into the application and put in the right content against all the performance domain? If I just want to go into details, the application is asking my experience for the portfolio management against different performance domains. It could be strategic alignment, core engagement, portfolio performance, communications, risk management. So on the all these aspects, we have to put our experience for a given portfolio which I am managing. So it was not that easy. I can say it's a clueless. What exactly should I put in a given 500 words, if I'm right, or is a maximum um, verbiage I should use? So definitely we need their expert to support us. It's really a challenging. And again, application submission, then it goes through audit if comes, and the audit response, then the panel review. It's challenging actually to have a right content put into the application, which is very much to be relevant for the exam.
So, Ravi, are you saying that your application got selected for audit process as well?
Yes, yes. For PFMP, it got selected for audit.
Okay. But just for a community, I want to tell you that audit is not a mandatory process. So, of course, Ravi, I agree with you. Application is a one of the toughest milestone in the certification journey. But PMI exam is a psychometric assessment test. It will not just test your knowledge of portfolio management. It's a 4-hour exam. Sometimes it tests that how much you can take a stress, and the complexity level of the exam varies throughout the 4 hours of duration. So my question to you, Ravi, how did you manage that exam stress during those 4 hours when you were sitting into the Pearson exam center?
Sure, Kailash. I think definitely there was anxiety and the stress during the exam. What helped me is a very good preparation before the exam, mainly having the regular work engagements, practicing the mock exams, which requires 4 hours focus before the system, and continuously go through those 178 questions. Focus the question, and the right answers is the challenging part. So the preparation helped in the final exam to have the similar focus for those 4 hours and then go through the questions. However, as portfolio management is not the theory based, it's more on the scenario based on the practical experience. The challenge there comes is identifying the right answer out of 4 given answers, right? Most of the questions you can eliminate 2 answers, but the next 2 are very much similar. That brings some kind of ambiguity there. What could be the right answer? So you have to again rethink and see that you put the right answer there based on the scenario. That is a challenging part there because all are scenario based, and definitely you have this kind of experience in the exam.
Very good. Very good. So I'm glad that Ravi, your preparation really helped you confidently sit for the exam. And of course, no matter how much confident we are, initially there were exam anxiety. This is one thing which I have realized, that more than their preparation, more than their knowledge, sometimes the result that they expect, or the result they don't expect, the pressure of that creates a lot of challenge, and sometimes, and that is why we call it psychometric test, and that psychology you need to control. And I'm glad that Ravi, Addon skills mock exam prepared you to sit for 4 exam, and you did multiple mock exam. And you know our mock exam, or the entire simulation tool, is very close to the real PMI exam tool, so you actually even know the exact interface. You can mark the question for review, you can you can see how much time is left to complete, what questions you are, and you can go to any of the question during any point of time during the exam time. So I'm glad that you did lot of preparation before going and sitting for the exam, and that really helped you overcome the exam challenges. So I really want to tell to all of this listener that please practice a lot, because this is not an easy exam. Be confident that you are ready with all the preparation. You can sit for 4-hour exam, and all that psychological challenges, you must simulate before actually sitting for the real exam. So that's wonderful point, Ravi, and thank you for sharing that. Ravi, moving on to next question related to your certification journey itself. Of course, you spoke about your application milestone related, entire effort that you have to put, and how did you prepared for the exam. But this one question which many, including PGMP and PFMP aspirant, they are confused is, they always ask me, can they take this exam from their home or as a remote proctor? So what do you say about that?
I think it's always better to go to the Prometric Center and take the exam because that's an environment where you can focus and very much attentive in that environment. So I recommend go to the Prometric Center.
Yeah. But as we all know that PGMP and PFMP certificate exam, you anyhow can't take from your home. You don't have any choice at all. Any other PMI certification other than PGMP and PFMP, you have choice to take the exam from maybe your home, from your office, maybe a remote proctored exam. But PGMP and PFMP, you don't have the challenges, you don't have the choices at all. So Ravi, how far was the Prometric or the Pearson Center from you? And did you find any challenges in the exam center, the Pearson View exam center, Ravi?
No, it's very much a smooth experience. It's around 30 minutes from my home Pearson Center, and it's a very transparent and simple process to work with the Prometric Center team there. My only request is reach 30 minutes before the exam, considering the traffic, other things, and there is some verification on your identity. Then get into the exam. They give clear guidelines what needs to be carried and what cannot be carried inside the exam, and you have an option to use headphones for noise cancellation, and it's very much well in surveillance of the center, and I believe parallelly many other candidates also taking different exams at the same time. Just to note.
Thank you, Ravi. No, Ravi, we just toward the end of this podcast, and I want to ask you, before I go into this question, any other advice do you have, Ravi, for the people who are preparing for this certification exam? Any special in this journey, your lesson learned, your experiences that you think you could have done better, or you could have avoided, or you could have added something more? Anything such experiences you would like to share, so that this community will get benefited from that?
Yeah, I think one challenge I was initially is when I was going through the standard. Standard is a very small book, around 90 plus pages, which has a content very much. Every line looks to be important. Every line I
Yes.
ended up with underline with a marker, right? It gives lots of concept, but definitely standard looks more dry. It doesn't have any scenario based, so you cannot focus much there. So along with your training sessions, right? Go to the recap and understand those training sessions. I used to go through the training recap at 1.5, 1.6 speed to save some time, but I had that repetitive training recordings to understand the concept, because the training session gave me actual insights and the linkage between the concept in the standard to the real time. So that's where the training content helped me. The content as well as the training recordings, right, is something I recommend to go through multiple times, then relate to the standard. That will help us to score better in the mocks as well as the final exam.
Very good. Very good. So Ravi, one last question for the entire community that I want to ask you. Now you are PMP, PGMP, and PFMP certified. I think so. You have covered, all aspect of organizational management initiative, project management, program management, and portfolio management. Now, how will your personal and professional life will shape from here onward? Would you like to share that, Ravi?
Definitely, I think it's a combination of this learning from certifications as well as the real-time experience, right? Help me to contribute to the organization's success by managing the portfolios in these current scenarios and bringing the required inputs, revisiting regularly on my portfolios, pivoting and work on the optimizing the value, aligning to the strategic objectives. These are the key concepts which I am going to keep on applying and see that the portfolios deliver better and better, and work with my team also to bring them. I have a team of program managers who look at these portfolio components and share the knowledge so that they can also understand the portfolio level aspects and then bring that to the tactical level, working with the resources, that why they should really focus and have that systematic holistic view, right? So that's an idea, and going forward I want to see that my um, PMO office, right, my function really has this better understanding at the portfolio level, and we are the champions driving this change.
Absolutely, Ravi. And actually, that is the real value. It's not just a certification, but it's the application of knowledge. And this is what I always say to the audience, that the one word that is common between project management definition, program management definition, and portfolio management definition, the one word that clearly stands is the application. You must able to apply, the project management knowledge, the task, the tools, techniques, and even the program management principles and portfolio management strategic all those strategic guidelines and everything. We pass the exam, of course we put lot of effort, but we never consciously think that that certification is just a temporary benefit. The long term value will come from the real application of what we have learned in this project, program, and portfolio management journey. And as we all know that PMI standards are global standards. It is not based out of one reason. It is based out of so much of years of research that PMI do before they publish or they revise their standard, whether it's a PMBOK guide or standard for program or portfolio management. So thank you, Ravi, for sharing that. This is just the beginning of the successful management career. This is not the end after we have got all the certification, which may be the most people aspire for. The inspiration for so many community member, not just within your organization, but to the global inspiration now. So Ravi, I think so that is all I wanted to ask to you and your entire journey. And I'm glad that you chose me for your PGMP and PFMP certification journey to support you, to guide you, and share some of my own experiences with you. So thank you, Ravi, for being my guest. in this podcast. So, and you have significantly through this podcast, you know, has added value to the listener. So, thank you once again.
Thanks for your mentorship. Always get benefited. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Now, to my audience, friends, from wherever you're listening this podcast, on whichever platform you are listening this podcast, please do listen this podcast till the end. There's so much of value you will get through Ravi's entire certification journey, and where he has also shared his real portfolio management experience with us. So thank you for listening to this podcast. So please, if you find this value in this podcast, do like it, to share it with the community, because it's our professional responsibility that the good things should reach to the larger audience and it should add value to them as well. So thank you to all my audience as well. And once again, thank you, Ravi. Thank you very much.